Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to have a great night with you. Steve Pierce is here. You may not recognize the name, but once we get into his story, you're going to recognize absolutely everything. It's going to be an amazing night here on the show for the next couple of hours, and we are glad to bring it to you as we get right in to tonight's show. And, of course, we got to give the roll call here. We're going to start off with Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Road Flare with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the bronze medal tonight. Karen in the Woo Train, how are you? Necessary Dialogue, thanks for coming on in. Fast Hemi, good to see you. T-Bone, my man, hope you have a great night tonight listening into this one. Bar Madison, good to see you as we continue on with roll call. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk aliens without being nice and smooth. Thank you, Mel, for the lubing. Frankie B, how you doing, my friend, as we continue on with our roll call. JSCO, Robert Lamoth. Kurt M is here. Kurt M will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Keeping it going, we got Candace. How are you? Trucker Andrew, nice to see you. Luscious Jules, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call here tonight. And we're scrolling on down. Eternity Eternal, thank you for joining us. And we appreciate you tuning us on in. Mama Catherine, I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you had a great day, and I know you're going to enjoy tonight. I promise you that you will. Keeping it going here. Let's scroll on down. Up next, we have, let's see here. Human Carl is here. Human Carl, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you around here, buddy. Thank you for coming on in. And Lisa Smith, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call. Number 21 in your program, starting at left wing from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. He'll sign autographs sometime. Absolutely. And as we continue on down, we next say hello to, well, let's see. Lots of conversation going on here. Jaquetta, thank you for coming on in. And who's next? There's a bunch of you. Anil, thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. And got you guys. Cody Dodson, good to see you. Thank you for coming on in. Cosmic Joe is here. Cosmic Joe will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. As we continue on with our roll call, ST, thank you for joining us. Noble Patrick, good to have you here. And Spiraling 69, thank you for coming on in. We continue on with our YouTube roll call, and up next is, who's next? Fap Nuts, how you doing, buddy? Jeremy Jones, thank you for coming on in. Yep, bringing too many clubs in your bag. That's a penalty right there. It's a penalty. J True Seeker, thank you for joining us. Lulu Bell, Carol the Mario, thank you for coming on in. Yennefer with a soft J, Good to have you here. FU's, Eddie. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Benno, good to have you here as we continue on with our roll call. T-Bone, my man, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very much, T-Bone. 1 second. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to talk to Steve Pierce about Fire in the Sky. We are in roll call on our YouTube side right now as we say hello to the ferret. Nice to see you. And who's next on our list here? Scrolling on down, Necessary Dialogue. Thank you for that wonderful super chat. Greatly appreciate that, my friend. And we got 18 seconds before we launch this show. Can we get anybody else in? Eversore, good to see you. That's about it. Super Chat is open. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an amazing, suspenseful show with you tonight. Stephen Pierce is here. We are going to talk about the true story of what happened in Snowflake, Arizona, and Fire in the Sky. Then in hour number 3, we're going to go straight to Josh Rutledge with the UFO report. Then it's going to be Dave 101 night, and we'll get to the weird news of the week. So let's get right to it. Steve Pierce was one of the 6 forestry crew members working with Mike Rogers in the Apache-Sitgreaves National Forest, Arizona on November 5th, 1975, when logger Travis Walton allegedly vanished after an encounter with a glowing unidentified object. Pierce was present during the key events, seeing the overhead light, witnessing Travis's walk toward it, and later watching as Walton was struck by a beam of light and falls to the forest floor. He has consistently maintained his eyewitness account over the years. However, in subsequent years, Steve has expressed doubts about parts of the official narrative and has also resisted efforts to recant or admit the incident was a hoax. For instance, in 1978, it was reported that he had claimed certain behaviors, such as Walton staying in the truck, claiming illness, and Rogers working late past dark, that he felt were unusual on that day of the incident, and so much more. So I'm going to stop with the bio right now because I could probably go on another minute or two, but I think it's important to bring him right on and learn it from the man himself. Steve Pierce, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It is an honor and an extreme privilege to have you here with us tonight. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Did you ever think that your popular life would ever be defined by a UFO incident?
No. No. Can you hear me?
Yes, got you loud and clear.
Okay.
When you look at that and you go back and kind of, relive it, this is something that you probably relive much more than what you expected you would in your life.
I still have nightmares. Yeah, it can freak you out sometimes.
What scares you?
Nothing anymore, I don't think. I was more scared the day of the polygraph test than the day I saw Travis getting zapped, because the day of the polygraph test is more reality than get it all set in. And that day was the most scariest.
Now, from what I have learned about you, you're not a guy who seeks publicity. In fact, you shy away from it. You're a guy who's a very humble man, but has continuously been thrust into the spotlight because of this story. How has life been for you since 1975?
It was pretty good until I got back into it. I got out of it in the 80s. Well, actually, it was more like the 70s, into the 70s. And I didn't see Travis for another 30-something years after that. But it's caused a divorce.
Been hard?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to have really bad nightmares, but I'm good.
Do you ever still have, when you talk about those nightmares, do you still relive it?
Oh yeah. Did you see that video I sent you? Me being hypnotized, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes. But explain that to our audience, what you go through, because our radio audience can't see the video.
What do I go through?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but I've I've had some nightmares. I mean, I've gone through it doesn't bother me as much as it did before. I don't have nightmares no more over this. But when it first happened, I did. And then when I first got back into it, I did. But now I don't. It doesn't bother me. It is what it is, and it was what it was.
Something that you told me before the show, which is really cool, is that you used to drive truck up to Alaska. And
I only did that one time.
Well, the real cool part about it is you drove by my house. I probably wasn't living here back then, but either way, to know that we've kind of beat the same highways, I think that's kind of cool. How was your life when you kind of shoved this to the side and said, "You look, yes, that's a part of me." How did it really take your life? How did you try and rebuild what you wanted to do and how you wanted to live?
Well, once I got away from it, when I started driving long haul, I was using my first name and never used my middle name again. I didn't, nobody called me by Steve. And so when I was on the road, none of the people that I knew and drove truck with, I worked with, did not know nothing about fire and sky. I never talked about it.
How do you hold something like that in?
Because you don't know how people are going to react. Some people take it, but I've seen people like me and Travis was doing a show in New Mexico one time, and this lady got up and started calling us all liars, and she was drunk, and finally they had to throw her out. But you never know how somebody's going to react. And they say, well, you got people nowadays, everybody believes. That's not true. You go to the store and tell somebody your story, they just look at you like you're nuts. So I don't tell everybody that I see the story, because you just don't know how they're going to react.
So in other words, it's a protective advantage to you to just not talk about it.
Yeah, with people that don't know, because you just don't know how. I've been called, before, well, not before, but right after this happened, okay, or when it happened, the night it happened, my mom didn't even believe us. They thought we were lying. So back then they thought we were lying. Nowadays that they think I'm lying because I don't agree with Travis, because I don't believe Travis was taken up by aliens. I think this had something to do with the government. And, Alan Dallas believed the same thing, but Travis was zapped. Okay. I'll skip the whole day and just go to the main thing. When we took off, we saw that bright light over to the right of us, and we couldn't tell what it was. In the movie, it says it looked like a fire. That's not true. It was white. And when we got closer to it, it was just hovering in the air. It wasn't moving. And Travis gets out, and there's so many, somebody say he jumps out and runs up there. I don't remember that part, but to me, everything turned into slow motion, and then when Travis got out, he did not go exactly up to it. He went into an angle, because if he would have went straight up to it, the beam would have knocked him into the pickup. And so it's hovering there, and he gets out, walks to the side, and when he gets about halfway, he kind of like bends down, and when he raises back up, the craft started rocking back and forth, and this bluish green light came out, and it zapped him in the chest. And through the years, it said 10 feet, 15 out. No, he when it hit him, he did go back, but it ain't like the movie that, but he did hit the ground. And when he hit the ground, I said, they got him. And that's when Mike started to pick up back up and took off. And I believe Kenny Peterson was trying to get out at the same time as Mike took off. Because when this happened, Alan Dallas, okay, there's 4 in the back, okay? Next to Alan Dallas was here, I was here, John Goulet was here, and Dwayne was here. Okay, there's on the pickup, there was plywood all the way around the bed, so you couldn't see out the back window. Okay, when we saw it, Alan Dallas hit the floorboard, and so I scooted over, and I had a perfect view. And then when it zapped him, you could actually feel the energy of the when he was zapped by the UFO, you could feel it. And then Mike, when he took off, we went down, I don't know how far, but we stopped, and we all get out of the truck, and nobody wanted to go back at first. We was all freaking out, I wasn't saying hardly anything. And in the book, it says I was crying. That's not true. I want to take a polygraph test, me and Mike. Y'all can set this polygraph up any way you want. They said, well, they don't want to do it. They want to know the questions ahead of time. You know, fine. You want to know the questions ahead of time, fine. You know, but Mike Rogers is the only one that freaked out really bad. He hits the ground and he starts. He just totally lost it. He crying and everything else, and then finally, Kenny Peterson is the one, and John Gillette are the two ones that decided we should go back and get him. So when we went back, before we all get back in the truck, the pickup, we saw it take off. We saw it leave, and that's, I guess you could say, we got our courage back and went back and looked for him. And we went back and looked for him. We couldn't find him, and so we had one flashlight, and so we couldn't find him. Then we went into town, and there was a place that had a phone booth, and it's right. They put a store next to that. When I was there a couple of weeks ago, but anyway, we went to this. So in the movie, it shows that Mike called. That's not true. So he made the phone call. Kenny Peterson made the phone call. I'm trying to be nice. You told me I couldn't cuss, so I'm trying to.
I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm a truck driver. It's hard not to cuss. Well, anyway, Kenny Peterson was one that made the phone call. Okay, he made the phone call, and the cops told us to go farther into Heber to the gas station, because the main highway goes right through town. And so we were sitting at the gas station. The gas station is not there no more. They said it burnt down, but it's completely gone now. When I was there a couple of weeks ago, I took my girlfriend up there and it kind of freaked her out. But so we're sitting there waiting, and I think it was a city cop that showed up first, and then another deputy sheriff showed up, and then I think Gillespie was the last one to show up. And then he shows up, and he thinks we're drinking and partying, and so he's looking around for beer cans, and so he decides, well, we got to go back and look for him. He wanted 3 to go back, and the other 3 could go home. And so Mike had to go back. He was the crew boss. He had no choice. And Kenny Peterson went back, and then Alan Dallas went back. And years later, in the 80s, I saw Alan Dallas. We were in the county jail together, and he was telling me the reason he went back is not to look for Travis. I mean, he went back to look for Travis, but that ain't the reason he went. He went back to face his fears, because what he did before, because he tried to hit the floorboard, and so that's the reason Alan Dallas went back. And Alan Dallas, he passed away. He was going to go get firewood, and he was at a stop sign, and not a stop sign, but a red light, and the red light changed, and he never moved. And so finally people went up there, and they called an ambulance. And the time they got there, he was leaning over the steering wheel, and he was already passed away. I don't know how the other ones passed away. I know John died of a heart attack, I think. I'm not sure, and then Dwayne Smith. I'd never seen Dwayne Smith after this, so I don't know how he passed away. And I think there's just 4 of us left. There might be 3. I don't know if Kenny Peterson's alive or not, because I haven't talked to him but once in 50 years. So I don't know where he's at.
To think about it, that this year on November, I believe it's November 5th, it'll be 50 years.
Yes.
Since this event. I mean, looking back on half a century since this happened, I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, how, you guys went from a good working crew, getting the job done. You guys worked hard. I live in a town full of loggers, so I know, what the
Well,
log.
we weren't loggers. Just to get this straight, I've never logged a tree in my life, man. I picked up a lot of branches. we were there for fire. We chopped everything smaller than 5 inches. They cut everything down 5 inches smaller. We thinned the forest out, and then my job was to stack the branches, and we had to stack it a certain way so the forest department would come and burn it. We weren't loggers.
Still hard work up in the mountains, though, man.
Yeah, it was hard work. I mean, well, not really. It's like cleaning your yard, actually, but they were long days. Pouring concrete is a lot harder than what we were doing.
The fact that it's 50 years, though, I mean, looking back, half the crew is now left this planet. I mean, it really divided you guys, this story and what happened. Was that because of the trauma of it, or just you guys just needed to do your own thing?
I never got along with Travis before, so what was the question again?
Well, it's been 50 years and the crew kind of went its own way. Everybody kind of did their own thing. And then, there was a little bit of a rejuvenation in 1994 when the movie Fire in the Sky came out. But I mean, everybody just kind of went their own path, right?
I didn't, when the movie came out, I didn't know about it. Nobody asked me nothing. Travis has never asked me my side of the story. Not once. He's always believed what Mike said. And Mike has lied so much in that book, the first 5 days, to make his own money. There's a book before Travis. Some guy wrote a book, can't name the name, but anyway, I'm mentioned in that book, and nobody's ever asked me anything, never, about anything. And my name is mentioned in all these books.
Well, the good news about it is we're asking you tonight. This is your story. This is your encounters. This is about.
That ain't what Travis told me. Travis said it's his story, not mine.
Well, I think it's more all your stories. I mean, look how it affected your life. I'm sure there were times in your life where it got hard because of having to relive this story, this event.
It got really hard in the 70s and the 80s because my family, they thought I was nuts, and they still think I'm nuts. But
well, what kind of guy were you? We got about a minute to go before we go to break. What kind of guy were you prior to this incident? Describe yourself.
When I was a kid?
Yeah, before this event, what kind of guy were you?
I was kind of messed up. I stayed on drugs because my dad died, and I was, but what kind of guy am I? I try to be fair. And people say, you hate Travis? I don't hate Travis. I don't hate nobody. Hate is a hard word. Why would you want to hate somebody and have that in your soul?
That is very true. That is very true. I mean, you battled your own demons before with the drug habit, and then afterwards.
This is the first show I've never been on drugs on.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Steve. I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Steve Pierce, he was in the truck the night Travis Walton was taken. We're going to get his side of the story. next on Spaced Out Radio. Wow. I don't know about you guys, but that first half hour, you can feel his emotion. Wow. That's a good start, Steve. Thank you. Oh, hold on. I got to press the mute button. There we go. Good start. You feeling okay?
A little nervous.
That's all right. I'm nervous too. You're a big star to me. But we both got nice beards, and that's all that matters. Emperor Penguin, how you doing, buddy? I'm loving this. I am loving this. Retro, how you doing? That was fun. We got about 3.5 minutes, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes. Tartar sauce, how are you? Yes, I do put my face on underpants. You can get your Dave Scott undies at our website, spacedoutradio.com. It's true.
It cracked me up when I saw your underwear.
Hey, I own a pair. They're comfy. They are comfy.
There's no way I'd wear underwear with a guy's picture on it.
My beard looks good on it, though. It's about the same length now.
It'd have to be my girlfriend's face on it.
Oh, it's good times, man. Good times. Thank you, Trucker Andrew. Desolate One, how you doing? I will mark that for hour 2, buddy.
Stories. Well, you play commercials?
The radio stations play commercials at this time.
You know, I've done a lot of radio shows and I still get really nervous.
Yeah.
My late wife was born in Canada.
Oh, was she? Whereabouts?
North of Montana.
Oh, in Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice area there. Nice area. We got about a minute to go here.
Feels weird not to be stoned or high.
Well, I'm glad that you're winning that battle, man.
Well, it's time to give it all up.
Hold on right there for a couple of seconds, okay? Thank you tonight so far to T-Bone, my man, Necessary Dialogue, Candace, and Trucker Andrew for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your great support of Spaced Out Radio. Remember, folks, you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. We do not have ugly swag. No ugly swag. You'll actually like our clothing, and it's comfortable too, I promise. And of course, if you're on YouTube, you could join our membership. Yeah, you could join our membership. Why not? It's good for you. It's healing for the soul. I don't know why, but it just is. Trust me on that. Here we go with the second half hour. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in as we have our good friend Steve Pierce here talking about the night that Fire in the Sky happened. And we're going to get into this story momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Steve Pierce was there, and now we're giving him an opportunity to actually tell his story, something that for some reason has almost eluded him for the last number of decades, as he was a key eyewitness to what happened to Travis Walton almost 50 years ago. Steve, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for your story and your journey.
Well, thank you for having me.
You mentioned right before the break that not many people have actually asked you about your opinions of what happened on that night. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that everybody else got the attention, but you didn't?
Ask Travis. I don't know. I've caught Travis in quite a few lies. He told me that reason they couldn't find me is the reason they didn't put me in the movie. Henry Thomas is the little boy who played E.T. He plays my part in the movie. But he said that they couldn't find me because they didn't know my first name. But if you look at before I left Snowflake, Travis was writing this book, and I had to sign a piece of paper saying, give him permission to put my name in it. Well, if you see it, it shows my first name. Okay. When we took the polygraph test, they had to use my first name. You cannot go do a legal guard, or, you can't use your middle name, So everything out there has my whole name on it. So he lied about that. I think it was more about money, They even took one guy completely out, in the movie, it's 6 people instead of 7.
Yeah.
So one guy they took completely out.
Why do you think Hollywood did that? Because once I found out kind of the true story of it all, in listening to Mike, listening to Travis, and then watching the movie, because I still remember the first night I saw the movie Fire in the Sky, and it literally scared the hell out of me. It did. But
you should have been there.
My friend, if you only knew my own personal UFO encounters, I've seen 2 UFOs on the ground, and they were scary enough as it is. So I'm a big believer in the UFO phenomena. But for you going through this, when you didn't go back up the mountain,
that night,
you guys did.
The same night?
Yeah, the same night. You didn't go back up the mountain.
No, I stayed with that pickup until it got back to Snowflake. You know, in the movie, it shows that Mike went back by himself. That's not true. They would have been a murder that night, Mike's. I stayed with that truck until it got me back to Snowflake. And
Were you disappointed in the movie for the
I was mad. The
inaccuracies
first
of it?
time I saw the movie was in 2011. I broke my neck and I was home, and my daughter, I watched the movie with her and I told her that was me, and then she wanted me to prove it, so I had to get a hold of Travis, and that was the first. But I only watched the first 15 minutes or because I got really mad. I almost broke the TV. I didn't even know that they even made a movie until like was it 93 or something like that. I was driving long haul and I was in Barstow, California, and there's a Flying J there, and I was getting fuel, and I went to pay for the fuel, went to the restroom, and if you've ever been in a truck stop, they got TV rooms in there. So I walked through the TV room, and there was Travis Walton on HBO talking about Fire in the Sky. That's how I knew they made a movie. And then I never seen the movie from 93. I knew about it, but I never watched it until 2011.
Why'd you wait so long?
Flashbacks. When I saw Travis on HBO, I was a day and a half early from my load in Louisiana. The night I saw that, it kept me awake all night. I never stopped until I got to where I was going. That's how bad it freaked me out the first time I knew they made a movie.
That is almost like you suffer from PTSD from this.
I've been told that.
Could we say that?
Yeah. I've been told I got, yeah. But, and then I never watched it. And then I don't like watching myself on TV. So I never watched even the aggression that you saw that I sent you. I didn't watch that until the other night. And the first time I watched the movie Fire in the Sky all the way through was the other night with my girlfriend. It was the first time I've watched it from the beginning to the end.
Wow.
I've started to watch it quite a few times, but it just, you want to break the TV or something, because there is a couple things in the movie that's right. Mike's name is right. Travis's name is right.
What about
it shows in the movie that Henry Thomas took the polygraph test first. That part is true. I was the first one to take the polygraph test, and I told Travis for years. I said they came after me, and Travis says, no, Mike said y'all drew straws. In the book, it says we drew straws. Who took the polygraph first? Well, I told Travis that's wrong. They came after me. And then when Paranormal Witness did their TV show on us, the guy that took the polygraph test even came out and said that they came after me because I was the youngest one, and they figured, we'll get him first, have him confess, and we won't have to go through everybody else. See, they thought since I was a kid that I was going to freak out and confess everything, right?
And pardon my ignorance, how old were you when this happened?
17.
Wow.
Everybody else were in their 20s. And Mike was, I think he was like 30s or something.
Incredible. So when you let's go back here. When you were waiting by the truck, were police around you?
Yeah. You mean at the gas station? Yeah.
When did this all of a sudden become a criminal investigation?
I guess the same night. I don't know. Travis said that, said a couple times that, you know, we didn't go back and look for him. I was afraid that we were going to get searched, and I had pot on me, so I was trying to get to stay away from the cops, you know, because in the 70s, that, you know, that's a big no-no, you know, and that's the reason I went back home, because I didn't want to get busted.
How long did it take from the time you went home that night to all of a sudden being accused of plotting a murder?
Time I got home, well, by the next morning, the cops were at my mom's place, and she was on the front porch with them, and the cops were telling them, you know, we're pretty sure that Travis is dead. You know, we're going to go out there and look for a body. And so when I was hearing this, I was thinking, well, you know, how are you going to get away from 100 cops if they find a body? Because I thought they were going to find a body. So I grabbed my cowboy boots and I snuck out the back door and I hid. I've been running ever since.
Did you have a criminal record at that time?
Yes and no. Not really. I was. I'll go ahead and tell you. My brother had a motorcycle, and he was trying. There was a new girl in town. And he was trying to, you know what I mean. But anyway, he was trying to get rid of me because there was nobody at our house except us three. So he gives me this. He says, "Go take off on my motorcycle." So I took off on his motorcycle and I wrecked it, and then when the judge wanted to see us, and my brother told the judge that I stole the motorcycle. So that started my criminal record. I didn't say anything. Again, I just sat there and didn't say nothing. And so I guess you could say my brother started my criminal record. Well, I've never done a violent crime. Okay.
Right. I mean, so how long was it before the police found you to finally interrogate you and then put you on the polygraph to see if you were involved with a criminal act against Travis?
There was a cop named Flake, and I was coming out the next day. I think it was the next day or the day after. But anyway, he sees me walking, and he drives by and he turns back around. So his door's facing me, you know, and so he was telling me that even though that if I didn't commit the crime in the state of Arizona, if you're with the person that knows that did the crime, you're just as guilty as they are, and they don't need a body in Arizona to convict you for murder. So he was trying to intimidate me, and I told him that, you know, this is all the truth. He said, well, you know, and then I saw him again. The city cops are the ones that hassled me. Flake didn't like us. But anyway, you saw him again, and he said, you know, y'all are going to take a polygraph test. And we're going to find out anyway that you guys are lying. So you might as well confess, you know. And that's the reason we took the first day that they went out there. Gillespie couldn't find anything, you know. So, and Mike says that some people came out of the woods and checked his hard hat for radiation, you know, and stuff, and they disappeared. Well, if this is true, Mike, how come you didn't tell Gillespie? Because Gillespie had the same equipment this guy had, you know. And I have another question. If they had radiation on the hard hats, and we never wore hard hats, never. And you know that picture you see us all wearing a hard hat? That's the same hard hat. We just traded. Travis wanted us to look good with a hard hat on. So everybody's wearing the same hard hat in those pictures.
That's funny.
But my question is to Mike is, okay, there's radiation on, he says there was radiation on the hard hats, right? Well, we're the truck, we're all facing to the right. Okay, the truck's facing this way and we're all looking to the right. The truck had plywood around it. So how did the radiation get through the plywood? Did it go through the plywood, over the plywood, or around the plywood? That's my question, you know. And I don't believe there was no radiation. I think Mike made that up just to make the movie look good.
As this story unfolded for you, and I'm really interested in learning about what was going through your mind, as we got about 8 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. Steve Pierce is with us tonight talking about the legendary fire in the sky abduction by UFOs. When you started getting interrogated, at what point did it feel really real to you that you might go up on charges of murder?
The next morning when the cops were at the door.
They were hell-bent in order to prosecute you.
Yeah, well, see, they told me, they said, well, we know you didn't commit this murder. We know you didn't do it, but we know that you know who did, and you won't tell us. So if you don't tell us, you're just as guilty as the person who did it. See, they thought Alan Dallas is the one, you know, they thought Alan Dallas is the one that killed him, and they just couldn't figure out why we were protecting him, you know. But we didn't kill him.
What was it like going under a polygraph? What kind of questions did they ask you?
They asked 4 questions. I have my mom, after this happened, went to Holbrook and got the paperwork that it's out there now, that the polygraph test. There was 4 questions. Did we harm Travis, or the last one was, did you actually see a UFO? The 4th question, and we all passed it. See, I can't, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't understand about this and can't figure out, but there's no way I could ever pass a polygraph test saying that this didn't happen, because I saw it happen.
Were you ever told to be silent? Were you ever told by government officials or police or anybody to shut up about this story like it never happened?
Now or been?
Either or.
Now, yeah.
You've been warned?
Yeah. A while back, yeah. I had men in black follow me. I was sitting in a graveyard in I got a thing about going to graveyards. A lot of history in graveyards. I love history. I was sitting there and I seen this black car pull up, and I laughed to myself, you know, men in black. And they sat there and they watched me for a while. And I got up and started walking away. When I got up, they came out of the graveyard and they followed in the same direction I was going. And they passed me and they pulled into this restaurant. And one guy got out, got in my face, started taking my picture, and then got back in the vehicle and took off.
What do you think you wanted?
This happens to me all the time, especially when I go right before I go on a show. Somebody will, you know, I don't know why. I tell the same story over and over and over.
Back then, when you were going through the investigation, were you told after Travis got back to just keep quiet about it by any government officials?
They couldn't find me. No government's ever told me to be quiet back then.
Okay.
I was I was the least important one.
Right. Did you have communication with the other fellas as this investigation was going on?
I saw him maybe once or twice during it. I stayed away from him. No, I didn't. Just Alan. Alan is the only one I actually knew. I knew John for 3 days before this happened. I knew Kenny Peterson 3 days before this happened. I knew all these guys 3 days before this happened. I knew Mike Rogers and 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before this happened. I knew Travis Walton from a distance. I knew who he was, but I didn't know them. I don't know none of these guys personally. All I know about these guys is fire in the sky.
That's a pretty deep sentiment. I mean, you don't know these guys, the majority of them, for just 3 days, and then all of a sudden be thrust into this life-changing, life-altering event.
Well, people think we were all buddies. We were there to work. That was, I wanted to quit the week before because the week before I had relatives that worked there. There was 2 of them, and then another guy that worked there, and they both quit. That's the reason they all quit. That's the reason we had a new crew coming on Monday.
Right. Because no matter what, the job still has to get done. We got about 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Steve Pierce is with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What was your reaction when you found out that Travis was alive?
I was trying to read the comment. What was the question again?
What was your reaction when you found out Travis was alive? And how did you find out?
Okay, I didn't know until the next night that he was back. I was gone hiding all day, and I got home, and my mom said that somebody came by and said that Travis was in Tucson Hospital. Actually, he wasn't, but that's what everybody thought. And I'm glad he came back because my mom thought, for my mom, because she thought we killed him. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't have cared if he came back or not.
Why did your mom feel that you guys did that?
I don't know. I really don't know why. Because I've done some crazy stuff in my life, I guess. I don't know.
How much did that hurt you?
Everybody thought we killed him. The whole town thought we killed him. After the second, third day, what's weird about this? People came from miles and miles and showed up there. And how did they find out so quick? That's what I've always wondered. Because, we lived in a small town. They didn't have, the internet back then. And within 2 days of this happened, the town was doubled. The motels were packed. People came from all over the world. It was the first time I ever seen real Asians. I think it was like the second or third day. I was trying to hide again, and this car pulls up, and these people come from Japan, and they asked me to take them out there, and they paid me to take them out there. And I didn't understand half of what they were saying. One guy could talk, talk a little bit of English, but that was the first time I actually went back out there. And then I went out there on the third or fourth day. The fourth day, I think it was, with my uncle, because he thought we killed him too. Right.
I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought because we are going to go to break here in just a little bit. And Steve, the next hour, I want you to open up. it's your hour to basically tell your story to the world. And you know what? I think it's important that, coming up 50 years on this entire story, that we learn about you.
Okay.
Steve Pierce is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What really happened? Travis Walton next on the mighty SOR. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. This is a wild story, guys. Wild story. Wild. This is amazing. Amazing. I'll be right back. You can stare at the new studio. All right, I am back. Let's bring Steve in. Reading the comments, Steve?
Yeah.
People are loving you.
It's just weird doing this straight. I need a joint.
Oh, the hippie lettuce would calm everything down right about now.
Well, it was either drugs or my girlfriend, so I took my girlfriend. It is weird being straight, though. Can they hear us?
Yeah, the audience can hear us right now.
Never mind then.
You can message me after. All right, we're coming back in 20 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone, my man, ×2, Necessary Dialogue, Candace, Andrew, and Alaska's greatest athlete for the Super Chats. Much love to each and every one of you. Our store is always open at spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Here we go. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much about all of you taking the time to join us and spend your evening with us here on the mighty SOR. Thank you to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Fascinoris. Fascinoris is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We bring in our guest tonight, and this is a special night of radio indeed. Steve Pierce is here. Almost 50 years ago, he was on the crew that watched Travis Walton get zapped by a light from a UFO, and for a long time, he's had troubles dealing with this story, and he's here to tell us tonight. Steve, thank you so much for us. You know what? I can honestly say, Steve, I've been doing this show for almost 11 years, and this is probably one of the most impactful interviews I have ever done.
Really?
Yes. I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of experiencers, but I think for us listening to this live, that first hour of radio, you could really feel the emotion and the torture that you have gone through over this story. And I commend you for having the strength to come on this show and talk about it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Glad you are here to tell it. That is for sure. Right before the break, you were talking about just going through the emotions of it all. When Travis came back, you found out your mom had told you that they thought he was at a Tucson hospital getting checked out. You know, what was going through your mind at that time when all of a sudden you realized he was back? Was it a sense of relief, or was it a sense of questioning, like, where the hell was he?
Little both. I was glad that he was back because of my mom. Because my mom, you know, she thought we killed him, and then after that, because some of the stuff that I don't know, I get confused about because it doesn't make any sense. So I was confused. I didn't know back then when I was 17 years old, I thought, you really want me to get into this?
Yes, I would love for you to do it.
Okay. I was born Pentecostal. Okay. My mom's a Christian. She's a Bible thumper. She's part of the God Squad. She taught Moses a couple things. But anyway, uh, I thought this was from the devil when this first happened. I thought the world was coming to an end. When I first saw Travis getting zapped in my head, my mom is right. The world's coming to an end, and that's what I was thinking when we were in that truck going down, driving away from the UFO. I thought the world was coming to an end.
Pretty creepy. Pretty creepy. I'm going to kind of off topic here for just a second. After that incident happened, did you have any other UFO occurrences or sightings?
After?
Yes.
Or before? I've had them before and after.
Have you been taken yourself?
You're going to have to read the book. I'm not getting into that one. Where I lived before we moved into town, I lived outside of Snowflake, and there was no electricity out there, no running water, and so at nighttime when it got dark, it got really dark, and there was a ridge on one side of us, and at nighttime you could see this thing flying around and stuff, and that's when I first started seeing them.
Let's go back to the craft for a second. What did it look like up close?
It was solid white, like two cake pans to get on top of each other. It was beautiful. It was it was like looking at a brand new Corvette. You're wow. It was an awesome sight to see.
And how close were you to it? When you guys pulled up to it, how close was it?
30, 40 feet, close enough to spit on it, to throw a rock at it.
And the size of it, like compared to the truck?
I'd say it was about 40 feet, 45 feet long.
How tall?
I don't know, about the same, I guess. Well, it's hard to really tell because I didn't have a measuring tape and measured it.
Oh, I understand. I totally understand. I'm just trying to paint a picture for those of us.
I don't think it wasn't a mothership, if that's what you mean. It was a small ship. It was a craft, but it was big enough to put somebody in it. That's for sure.
And you figure how high off the ground it was again?
It was below the tree lines. It wasn't above the tree lines. It was kind of like, but right below the tree lines. So I'd say it was probably 20, 30 feet from the ground.
My goodness. I can't imagine what was going through your mind at that point, being 17 years old.
I thought the world was coming to an end.
Do you think that it was there for you guys to see, or was it just a coincidence?
I believe it was there because I believe it was there waiting for us. Because they would have heard the chainsaws before we left. They knew we were there. They knew we were there.
And was it making any sound?
Not at first. It didn't start making the sound until Travis got up too close and it started rocking back and forth. That's when it started making the sound.
And what did it sound like?
Well, it was a high pitching noise and a beeping noise. You know, people said that I've said this was a hoax. I have never actually said it was a hoax. What I said, I don't believe Travis was taken by aliens. You know, and I have told a couple people one thing and told somebody else another thing, so they both could argue with each other. That was funny. That was great. But I've never actually said this was a hoax. I mean, people have put words in my mouth. I've got people who attack me all the time. But this happened. I don't agree with what Travis is saying. You know, I don't believe he was gone 5 days. I think part of that he was, somewhere else. But this is my theory. But Travis was zapped by some kind of craft. I can't lie about that.
If it wasn't aliens, where do you think he went?
Area 51. Because when we saw it take off, when I was 17, I never heard about Area 51. But as the years go by, when we see it take off, it took off that way. You know, I believe this was from the government. I believe that Roswell is from the government. Can I explain?
Yeah, get right into it. This is about you.
In 1945, World War II was over. Hitler was dead, and we took half the German scientists. Operation Paperclip. Russia took the other half. Okay, this is 1945. This is, to me, is the beginning of the space age. Okay, and then we brought all these Germans over here, and they were in Alabama, and plus there's airfields in New Mexico. They had all these Germans over here, and so in 47, is it 47 was the crash?
47, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sober, so my mind's all. I'm sober. I've been sober for a while, people.
Congratulations on that.
Then the crash in 47. Okay. I don't believe, because nobody knew about Operation Paperclip. So in my opinion, they weren't hiding the fact that they were having aliens on the ship. They were hiding the fact they had Germans on American soil, not just any Germans. They had Nazis. So I believe that has something to do with that. And I believe that, because nobody heard of aliens in Roswell. In 1976, we're all over the tabloids, right? Back then, that's the internet. And so in 77, National Enquirer had to come up with something else. And National Enquirer is the one who started the alien invasion in Roswell. They're the ones who first brung it up. Did you know that? A magazine. So, so I believe that Roswell had to do with, if there's any aliens, they're the Germans. That's my opinion.
You say you've seen UFOs and potentially have been taken, but you don't want to talk about it.
I don't know if I've really been taken or not. So that's the reason I don't want to talk about it. And then I don't want to talk about nothing I can't prove, because if I can't prove it, people come after you and they call you liars and stuff. So why bring it up? And besides, some things, if you people out there, if you actually see one, enjoy it, because they're showing you, they're letting you see them on purpose, because you can have 2 or 3 people standing there and one person might be able to see it, 2 people, and the third one won't see it at all. You know what I mean? So who are you going to call? Don't call, move on. But anyway, uh, go on. Ask me another question. I'm getting nervous.
No, I think you're doing absolutely great. The idea that, you don't believe that Travis went to outer space or wherever they took him, that he went to Area 51. What is the logic behind that thought?
I don't know. Actually, Alan Dallas is the one who put that in my head. So that's that's what he believed, and we, to me it makes more sense. I don't know. I believe that this had to do with the government, and you're never going to change my mind.
Prior to everybody kind of going their separate ways, did you have an opportunity at all to ever sit down with Travis and just say, what happened, man?
No. I did see Travis right after this happened, but we all saw him together, but Travis has never asked my opinion for anything. He doesn't like me. There's a couple of reasons, but
here you are tied to this emotional story.
This story really eats me up sometimes, because they've lied so much, and I don't understand why. Just why would they? I understand why Hollywood did what they did to make a good movie, but if you're going to write a book, at least, have your facts right. It's the book that I disagree with. The movie, it's Hollywood. So I guess once you sign the rights over to somebody, that they can do what they want with it.
Do you look at the entire scenario as you look back at it, wearing, your cowboy hat, your beard is now gray, you're not a young teenager anymore? Do you look back at this incident and just, still try and break it down into your head what happened?
Yeah, all the time. Oh, yeah. This was the most scariest thing in my life. I've seen things after, I've seen things before, but nothing was like this. Even at the same time we saw this UFO, they were having cows that were mutilated. Me and my little brother, we found one, and there was no blood in the cow, and there was no blood around it, just a burn mark, just a mark on it. So that's kind of, it confused me too, because it happened at the same time. And then, if I get this right, Fife, Alabama, they had a UFO there too, and about the same time they had the same problem, the cow mutilation with the UFOs. So I don't know if this is together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
No, I totally get you on that. We got about 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Steve Pierce is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Steve, when you kind of look back and you mention it, that, you know, the location, you still know where it happened, you still know everything. A couple weeks ago, you said you went back, you took your girlfriend there. What was it like? What has it been like revisiting that spot?
It was kind of freaky. We pulled up there and we was fixing to get out, and all of a sudden we hear all these weird noises that we've never heard before, and you know, a different sound, and so we decided to go back into town. But it was a weird feeling being out there, and we got there in the middle of the night, so but it was kind of weird. We heard, I'll go ahead and tell you. I can pass a polygraph saying this. I don't like to say nothing. I can't pass a polygraph test on. But anyway, when we were pulling out, we saw Bigfoot running across the, and I don't even believe in Bigfoot. Now I'm wondering, wow.
How you doing?
I don't know that they were making the sound, because it was the weirdest voices we've ever heard.
What did it sound like?
Like a howling noise. You know, it was a howling noise. It was a wicked noise.
What did you think about, you know, we'll get into Bigfoot if we got some time a little bit later, because I'm a giant Bigfoot fan. Pun intended.
I wasn't until the other day.
Oh, man. What did you feel like, or did you ever see when Travis failed the polygraph on that television show?
I watched the whole thing.
What did you think when that happened? It was set up. Because I watched the whole thing, and one of the questions that they asked him that he passed, I know he was lying. So I know that they set him up. You have had an extremely strained relationship, to put it politely, with both Mike Rogers and Travis Walton since that happened. You mentioned a couple of times, without getting into detail, that you and Travis Walton do not get along. If you had something specifically about this entire event to talk to them about, what, a 2-minute answer, what would you want to say to them?
Say to Travis?
Travis or Mike?
I'd like Mike to tell the truth, because Mike's the one to my opinion, Mike wrote the book and Dana Rogers typed it up as fast as she could. And so it's Mike that I would want, because Mike's made my life miserable writing that book and putting that stuff in that. He said that I cried and bawled and all this. That's not true. And I want to take a polygraph test and prove it. 30 years, my uncle made fun of my ass. Made fun of me because of that book. He called me a coward. And I tell you what, I'm no coward. And anybody that knows me when I was driving truck, I've been known to rip people out of their big trucks and get in fights with them. So this taught me one thing, is it taught me how to fight, because well, anyway, it's Mike is the one that told all the lies, and Travis just goes along with it. That's why I call Travis Howdy Doody. You know who Howdy Doody was?
Yes.
The puppet. And Rogers is what was his name? Bob? Uncle Bob? What was the puppet holder's name? But anyway, this is years ago. But anyway, you're probably not even old enough to know who he is, do you?
I know exactly who he is. I never got to see an episode because up here in Canada when I was a kid, it really didn't play. But you know what? When we come back, we're going to go to break here for a second, Steve. When we come back, I want to ask you a couple more questions, and we're going to get to some audience questions here too, because
that's what I've been waiting for. I've been reading it. I've been waiting. I want them to ask me questions.
We're going to do that the next half hour on the show because I think it's absolutely amazing and to hear your story. And this is a momentous show for Spaced Out Radio tonight in having you on. So stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Guys, I'm going to try and get in as many questions as I can, okay? It's going to be difficult, but this is one hell of a good show. This is one hell of a good show. Uncle Jimbo, the studio has always been this color, but I just had a lot of things blocking it. So I took a bunch of stuff down and just kind of tidied it up a little bit. But it's good to see you, my friend. Much love to you. Steve, are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm still kind of nervous, but yeah. Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh no, man!
You almost grow as good a beard as I do.
I try. Very proud of my beard.
This is a month and a half old.
I've had this for, oh goodness, 6-7 months now. So,
yeah, see, I don't have none up here no more.
I still don't have any male pattern baldness, but up top, but the beard, I'm just letting it grow.
Sure.
Ross Dogs, how you doing, my friend? Been a while. Glad to have you here.
Hey, I want to thank everybody that's here.
One second, Steve. Jim Goodall, we changed the date specifically for you for Las Vegas. And the fact that we're going to do it on my birthday weekend. So now you have no choice to be there. May 21st to 25th, that will be our next Vegas fan party. If you want to come hang out with the likes of myself, Merle, Jim Goodall, and many, many more. We don't have a location yet, but the one thing we do know is we're not allowing Merle to choose a location. And yeah, go from there. Come hang with us. Yeah, our audience is loving you, Steve.
I see that. Hey, thank you, people. Makes me feel good. I've been called a liar all my life, so.
Well, I'm going to tell you that anytime you want to come on this show and talk about it, you just let me know.
All righty.
Okay, you got a safe home here.
You know, I look for a lot of answers since this happened. I mean, I spent a lot of time back in the day when Bigelow owned Skinwalker Ranch, and I spent like a good 10 years off and on, straight going up there all the time, looking for answers. I'm looking for a portal. I'm not, but there's no aliens, no UFO. They say there's UFOs there. That's not. I was there all the time. That place is evil. It has nothing to do with UFOs.
Did you ever meet Bob Bigelow?
No. I met some of his guys that ran me off his off the property. I've been chased all the way to Roosevelt, trying to get on their property, and
Right.
but I've been on it. One place on the property makes your hair stand up.
Oh, wow. I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to come back in 10 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone ×2, Emily, Alaska's greatest athlete, Necessary Dialogue, Candace, and Trucker Andrew. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We have Steve Pierce till the top of the hour. We're going to get into some audience questions coming up very, very quickly. But first, we want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Steve Pierce, he was in the truck. Mike Rogers was driving the night Travis Walton was taken. And he is here with us telling his side of the story. He has not told it often publicly, but we're giving him the time to do so tonight. Steve, thank you for being so candid and amazing as a guest tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let's get to some audience questions because they are building up.
I see that.
All right. We're going to start off with Benno here, who is asking, did Dallas and Travis dislike each other like the movie portrayed?
Yeah. They couldn't stand each other. They never liked each other even. Nope. They always fought over women. Either one of them get one. So they used to fight over them.
Well, that's not fun. That's not fun. All right. Let's go to another question. Desolate is asking, what shape was the UFO? If you can remember, always not clear. Travis himself doesn't go into detail or it's lost, but you kind of described that a little bit in the last half hour, but I'll just get you to touch base on that again.
Okay. It was like two cake pans on top of each other, right? And it was solid white. It had like window frames. I don't, you couldn't see through it, but you could see the frames around it, and it was a white that I've never seen before. It was a glowing white.
It must have been beautiful and scary at the same time.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I could see Travis getting zapped every day. I just wish they'd turn it up a little bit more.
Right. All right. Well, let's go to another question here. Let's go to Paramarv. Is it true that you were offered $10,000 by someone to say the whole thing was a hoax? And was it by Philip Klass?
I knew this question was coming. Yes. After this happened, I got married and I lived in Taylor, Arizona. That's next to Snowflake. And a cop named Jim Click came to the door and said that Philip Klass said he would, and I didn't know who Philip Klass was. And he said he'd give you $10,000 if you would say this was a hoax. Yes, that's true. And I will take a polygraph test and I can prove it's true. people say I'm lying. Oh, Philip Glass didn't offer you this. Yeah, he did. And then Travis didn't believe it at first either, but before, I don't know, after I first came back out in 2011, Travis checked it out with Jim Click and his family, and it's true. He did come to my door.
Very strange. Very strange. Let's go to another question here. Or pardon me, before we do that, let me go back to that. I mean, 10 grand back then was a lot of money. I mean, how do you, as a young man, turn that down? To me, it shows your integrity for the truth rather than doing it for the money.
Well, actually, I never thought about it after he left. And then when I moved to Texas, back to Texas, he would call me on the phone and about once a month and want me to said he'd give me money if we could prove it. He wasn't. It ain't like it just come out and say it was hoax. You had to prove it was a hoax, and I couldn't prove it was a hoax. And the wife I was married to at the time told me if I took the money, she wouldn't spend it anyway, because. But I never took the money, and yes, he did offer me the money.
Let's move on. Let's go to Desolate again. On sighting the craft, was it hazy or very distinctive in the air? Was there an Oz effect that drew you closer? Was there a feeling to flee upon witnessing the object?
When I saw it, it kind of like what was trying to make us all come. You know what I mean? Was trying to make us all. I don't believe Travis got out on his own. I think it was kind of like, so it was awesome. It was a glow that I've never seen before. Before that, yes, that close. It was beautiful.
Do you think Travis was called out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Like the craft called him out?
Well, who was ever in the craft, yes. Because Kenny Peterson was starting to get out too when Mike took off.
Would you have got out if you had an opportunity?
Yeah, I think so. I think we all would have. Except Mike. Mike's the one that freaked out. Mike, remember people say, y'all drove off and left him. No, we did not drive off and leave. Mike drove off and left him. I wasn't driving.
Right. All right, let's get to another question here. Let's go to T-Bone. Are there others on the crew that agree with you over the years?
Yeah.
I know we've lost half of them, but
They're
rest of the
dead.
crew?
They're dead, yes. Alan Dallas is agreed what I just said, yes.
Jules is asking, have you ever had any health effects you feel that were attributed to your proximity to the craft?
There's nothing wrong with me. I'm healthy. I got a bunch of broken bones, but at my age, I'm pretty healthy.
Fast Hemi would like to know, how many polygraph tests did Travis take and pass? Would you even know?
I wouldn't know that answer.
Let's reverse that. How many polygraphs did you take over this event?
Just the one. I did take one years later, but it was more personal than it had to do with, I married a woman from Canada, and she wouldn't marry me until she paid for a polygraph test to prove that I was telling the truth.
How do you have that conversation with someone that you were there?
It's kind of hard sometimes. It sometimes it's easy because if the person believes you, then it's easy to carry on a conversation with them. But if they don't believe you, you don't know how they're going to react. I've had crazy people come up to me and say some crazy things. I've been threatened. And by the way, John Goulet's son told me if I ever mention his name, mention his dad's name again on air, that he was going to beat me up. Well, I just mentioned it. Come find me. But anyway, I've gotten emails saying that they're going to hurt me because they believe Travis is a god,
Right. Just a quick comment from one of our good friends, Jim Goodall, who is a member of the U.S. Aviation Hall of Fame. He says, "I'm enjoying what you have to say. Keep it up, Steve."
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I don't get beat up tomorrow.
Jim is a hero and an idol of mine. So when he speaks, it's very, very cool when that happens. All right, let's get to another question here. Let's go to T-Bone here. Had you ever been contacted by any agencies? You mentioned that you have seen the Men in Black.
Mm-hmm. First time I saw the Men in Black was I didn't know what they were back in the 70s, but first time I saw them, they were in a restaurant, and that was the first time I saw them, and I've seen them quite a few after that. And the last time I saw them was in the graveyard, what I was telling you about. But I'll tell you a story. I was Las Vegas. There's a Flying J once you start going towards Utah.
Yes.
Well, I was getting fuel there one time and going to Provo where my company was at. And so when I left, I took off and I'm heading towards Provo from Las Vegas. You have to go through Arizona. Well, a black car was following me. And so when I got to the port in Utah, I pulled into the port, and the black car kept going, right? So I pulled into the port and I took off. And when I got back on the freeway, I started heading towards Provo, and here's this black car again. It's right behind me. It's following me. And so finally I had enough. I pulled over at a rest area, got out, went back there and to find out what was going on. It was two women that I knew one of them. She saw me at the truck stop, and she thought it'd be funny because her friend was in a black car to follow me.
Oh, nice.
That's what I thought.
All right, let's move on to another question here. I love this question by the unknown. He's asking, looking back now after all these years, what part of that night in the woods has stayed with you the most? The moment itself or the way people treated you afterwards?
People treated the way they treated me afterwards. People are treating me bad. I've lost relatives over this because they think I'm nuts. It was worse after, because I married this one woman that she didn't believe me. She didn't believe the story. So everything that I said, she didn't believe. So that relationship didn't last very long.
Has it been hard to be able to trust people after this?
I don't trust anybody except the woman standing in front of me here. She's the one that wants me to come. Keeps me going. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. We'll say hello to her. What's her name?
Jolene.
should I tell her?
Is your name Jolene?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jolene.
That's my wife's name.
That's his wife's name.
Were you named after the song too?
No, she wasn't named after the song.
Oh,
What was your wife named? Oh, your wife. That song's not that old, is it?
she was named after the song. Yes.
Was she?
Yeah.
That song's,
Yes.
yeah.
There you go.
Looking back after these years, what part of the, you know, the polygraph test, what really sticks with me too. That was the most scariest day of my life.
At any point when you were taking that polygraph, did you think this is going to be rigged against me?
I thought, well, a few days before we took the polygraph test, Alan Dallas, his mother kept saying that they were going to fix us and make us all look guilty, you know. So I thought we was walking into a trap. I even tried to sneak out the door the morning of the polygraph test, but my mom caught me, and my mom is the one that took me to Holbrook because I was a minor. And my mom, I even told Travis this. I told him, my mom was the only one in there besides us and the cops in the polygraph. And he says, no, all the parents were there. I said, all the parents weren't in there. They weren't allowed in there. The only reason my mom was allowed in there because I'm a minor. I was a minor, so she had to be in there.
I couldn't imagine that pressure. I don't know.
Well, that's why I'm glad that Travis came back, is because of my mom.
Jose is asking, did the UFO craft have a slight humming sound?
Yes.
And did you notice any strange smell, like humidity or electricity?
I felt the beam. You could feel it when it hit Travis. You could feel it on your face.
Did it burn you?
I'm not sure. It didn't burn, but now don't get me on. I'm not sure about this one, but I heard that Kenny Peterson, since the door was open and he was right there with it, it caused some damage to him. But I can't prove that is true or not. Because he's never told me that. It's what I've heard through the grapevine, through Travis and stuff. So I can't prove that one. But
all right, well, let's continue on. Let's go to Jules again. Was the light a breathing pulse of light?
the light was a bluish green light. It just came out. It just zapped him.
We're going to change the pace here for a second. What do you want the world to know about you regarding this situation? I know it's been tough the last 50 years for you, but what do we need to know about you regarding this?
I don't know. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. So, but I don't care what people think about me. I've been called names all my life. I'm used to it. So, it doesn't bother me no more. I don't care what people think. Either you're going to believe it or you're not. So, I'm not going to try to convince somebody this is true because it's not worth it anymore. I mean, they say more people believe in UFOs nowadays. That's true, but if I walked into a store and started telling these people my story, they think I'm nuts. I had a neighbor that didn't believe I was Steve Pierce.
Do you want to be recognized for this?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I never really wanted to be famous. I only came out for my daughter, and now she's grown and ain't no big deal no more. But I just wanted to prove to her that I was the person that was in the movie.
Is she convinced that you are now?
Oh yeah, she's convinced. Yeah. She was convinced.
Yeah. Desolate One wants to know, could you elaborate on why you feel it was government rather than ET?
I'm going to leave something for my book.
When do you plan on finishing your book?
It'll be done in a couple months. I'm almost there. Some things I haven't talked about because I want to wait until the book. People have been telling me to write a book for a long time, and I had a girlfriend. Well, she wasn't really a girlfriend, but one of my kids' mothers. She wrote a book about me, and then another one wrote. She published it, but I don't think it's out there anymore. And then another one wrote something, and they used my name, but they're not my books. I didn't write them; they did.
Right. Let's go back to Desolate One here for a second. Your beliefs and views on the world of UFOs now 50 years later, what do you believe it's all about? Do you think that we're being visited?
Yes. Yeah, and I believe the government knows more than they're saying. And yeah, I believe in aliens. You'd have to be kind of, there's got to be more than this dust out there, And I believe them. I didn't believe in Bigfoot until I swear I think I saw Bigfoot. I can't believe that. I was
It is pretty amazing. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Do you think, let's go back to that. We only got 2 minutes left. Do you think that you saw Bigfoot in that area because maybe with the encounter and with everything else, that maybe it's a hot spot for weird phenomena?
That's what my girlfriend thinks. Yeah, that's what she thinks.
How close was the Bigfoot to you?
It ran across the road. About 15 feet.
Oh, wow. That is close.
Yeah, it was huge.
Did he look at you?
He kind of glanced and looked and went into the forest.
And now you're a believer.
I wasn't before, but I am now.
We have 1 minute to go. What would you like to say to the listening audience?
Don't call MUFON. I don't know. Thank you for having me. Keep looking up. They're out there.
Well, I'm gonna end this by saying that in 11 years almost of doing this show, this is one of the most impactful conversations I've ever had regarding an ET encounter, but more specifically, this story. And just to let you know, both Mike Rogers and Travis Walton have said they would come on this show, and they never have.
Really?
Really. So I'm glad to finally get some inside information on one of the greatest encounters in ufology. Steve Pierce, thank you for being on Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate it. Coming up next, Josh Rutledge will be with us for the UFO report, Dave 101 night, and the weird news of the week.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Steve, I hope I did you some justice tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I hope you had a good time, and I hope you felt you were treated very fairly.
I was. Can they still hear me?
Yes, they can.
One other thing, people. Before National Enquirer came out with the story of Roswell, Travis never called them Grays. He didn't start calling them till after National Enquirer came out with the story. So good night.
Steve, we'll talk soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. How awesome was that, people? How amazingly awesome was Steve? Wow. I'm taking a break. I got to go process. right, people, we got about a minute 15 to go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. CS, how you doing? Josh is in the chat room. Who else came in here? Saw a few of you. That was an amazing show. Amazing show. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, man. It was a good show. I didn't watch all of it, but for the parts that I saw, I'll say that I'm a pretty good judge of people, and he seemed really genuine.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. That was amazing. We're going to come out right to you here tonight and get right to it, okay? Thank you to T-Bone ×2, Alaska's greatest athlete, Necessary Dialogue, Candace and Andrew for the great super chats. Our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you check it on out. And we're coming back here in 5 seconds. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fascinerous. Fascinerous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Time for the UFO report.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Timber! 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 Timber!
You have made me very angry indeed.
Josh Rutledge coming on in, filling in for Tim James, who is no longer our UFO reporter, but we're playing the music because Tim is still part of our team. But Josh, I promise you, next week when you are on, you're going to have your own theme song. I promise you. It's going to be good, and it's going to be delightful. Delightful.
I'm looking forward to it. I might even set it as my ringtone whenever you call me.
I would love it. That would make me happy. That would make me happy. And I appreciate you being here for the shortened version. And we want to give a lineup change of what will be happening next week. We're moving the UFO report to twice a week. So Josh will be on twice a week. And then the shortened version, which is today, we're going to backdate it 1. And Katie Page is going to come in with a little ditty that we call The Encounters, where she is going to be doing some weird stories from around North America. She's from Rocky Mountain. What is it? Rocky Mountain Ranch Research.
Yeah.
I always get that confused. RMRR, Rocky Mountain Ranch Research. So Josh, I mean, I don't know. I know you didn't hear the first hour of the show, but I mean, hearing Steve Pierce talk about the real story behind Travis Walton and Fire in the Sky, I don't know about you, man, but I was on the edge of my seat the entire show.
Yeah, I mean, I tuned in around the 9:30 mark and listened for a little bit, but then had to work on a MUFON case that I've got, and so I signed off so I could focus on that. And then I heard probably the last 30 minutes of the show. I mean, it's fantastic information. Like I said, I mean, the guy really does, seem and come across very genuine. I don't, anybody that would listen to it and think that he's trying to, to muscle in or whatever on Travis's story. I didn't get that feeling at all. I just think that he's, you know, he wants to make sure that people know his side of the story, and I think it came through that way.
You know, it's amazing you just ended your sentence on that, because I was going to say and follow up with that. Like, for 50 years, this guy has been saying, "Hey, what about me? I was involved here." And I don't think he's saying that to try and get press or money or cash in on this event. I think he's traumatized,
Mhm.
and that he is basically saying, I lived this too. You guys have ignored me for half a
Mhm.
century on this story about what happened. I want to be able to make peace with this. That's what I took out of it. I mean, just listening to his voice, and you know, unfortunately, our radio audience won't be able to see him unless you go on to our YouTube side the for the archive, and I highly suggest you do that. Okay, but you could see it in his face,
Mhm.
the pain that this story has caused him over the years. It
Yeah,
caused him a lot of strife.
body language is one of those things that's really hard to fake. You know, you can get choked up, right? You can say words that you don't believe in, but body language is like a telltale sign. And you know, I think, like you said, the emotion in his face, his body language, what he was saying, how passionate he was about it, I think indicates, you know, that he's uh, either one of two things. He's either telling the truth or he's telling a truth that he believes. But regardless, it's his right to be able to tell that truth.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on that. And you know, here's the funny part about that interview. That just came together maybe 8 days ago, 9 days ago.
Wow.
He added me on Facebook, and then he's like, "You know, I was there." And I
Mhm.
went, "You're that Steve Pierce?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, you got to be crapping me right now, you know? Like, are you serious?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to come on the show and tell me your story?" He goes, "I'd love to." He goes, "But I'm worried about the critics. You know, I'm worried about the backlash, because over the years he's received a lot of
Yeah.
backlash when he was trying to talk, and everybody was pretty much shoving him back in a corner like they did 50 years ago when he was a 17-year-old kid." You know,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
hope that this interview gave him a little bit of healing.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that people, like, across the spectrum, regardless if it's a UFO or anything else, realize that someone else's interpretation of events are not a personal attack for your interpretation of events. You know, we all perceive our own reality differently. We know this. So, you know, maybe we just stop getting so bent out of shape when somebody else sees it a different way.
With that, I'll ask you one more question before we get to the UFO
Yeah.
report. He believes, after talking with Alan Dallas, who's now passed away, that over the years, Alan would say he believed that was a U.S. craft, and that they took Travis to Area 51. What do you think about that?
You know, I've always struggled with the whole idea that the government is behind many, if not all, of the abduction experiences. You know, that's a stance that even Stephen Greer, you know, echoes. And I know Melinda Leslie out of Sedona, you know, she's very big into that idea as well. The part for me that I guess is really hard to believe is I don't think that we have the ability to pilot those craft. So at a minimum, I would say perhaps it's a joint effort. You know, ET is piloting the craft, but you know the government's pointing out the people to take. like that maybe. But I find it really hard to believe that any government of the world, we've talked about this before, any government of the world, if they had the ability to create these craft that far exceed any of our current technology, that they wouldn't have exploited it more for their own gain at this point, by this point in time.
I would agree with you on that. I would. I think that's a smart assessment. So thank you for that. What do you have for us tonight on the UFO report?
Oh man, something dropped earlier today. Russ Colthart did an interview with a guy who has broken from Skywatcher. His name is Mike Batista. He goes by Magic Mike Batista, but I don't think he's the Magic Mike from from the movie. I don't think he does any dances. I don't know. But yeah, Mike Batista, formerly of Skywatcher. Like I said, that interview dropped tonight. It's on YouTube. You can go watch it. It's a long interview. It's like an hour and a half, something long. But in the video, Mike talks about a landing that occurred in his backyard. And also in the interview with Russ, they show some video footage and some still images that Mike supposedly took with his Samsung Galaxy phone in his backyard. And Mike describes it as he was calling out to craft as he is trained to do. And he saw one kind of coming across the sky, and he asked for contact. And he got a message back, a psychic message back saying, we will, but we need you to put your dog away. And he's got like a big German Shepherd. And so he's like, okay, I guess. And so he went in the house and he put his dog away. And then when he came back out, something ejected from that craft, and he described it as looking almost like a meteor shooting star. And it slowly descended down, and that's when he started videoing. And he said it morphed. Like when it first came down, it in the video, if you go on YouTube and look it up, when it first came down, it's like a ball at the top, and then it has like what he thought were like angel wings. Then it started morphing into other shapes. He said sometimes it looked like images he's seen on petroglyphs. And then eventually it, materialized in his backyard, and he was standing there looking at a humanoid figure who had like a bluish skin, blue face, and was wearing a purple skin tight jumpsuit. And he's like, I'm just staring at it, and it's staring at me. And he's like, and there's a chicken there, and the chicken's staring at both of us. And I thought that was a little funny. So, but yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, hot off the presses. I'm sure that, the debunkers and the cynics will pick this apart without end. But it's a provocative thing. I think at times when Russ is reviewing the footage on the show, I think maybe sometimes he is, reaching for things that are being presented. But there's one still that's taken where it's like you can kind of see a little bit of like a chest area and a neck and like an elongated head. And I'll tell you that I've got an exact picture of that taken with a thermal camera in my house that looks exactly the same. So that one, I would say, I'd be willing to accept that one as 100% at least equal or equivalent to the photo that I took in my house. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's very provocative. If you don't want to watch the full hour and a half interview, there's also a really good summary done by the guy that does Vetted on YouTube as well. And it has all the videos and the screenshots and stuff. But yeah, hot off the presses. Supposedly, we have video and photo evidence of NHI taken by a psionics who is formerly with Skywatcher.
Now, this guy, Michael Batista, he's a former Green Beret.
Yep.
He is somebody who has, seen time in very difficult places. He is somebody who was one of the summoners because I refuse to use the word psionics, even though I like the term. Okay. But he was one of the summoners for Skywatcher before it seems like that group seems to be dissolving quicker than quicksand right now, unfortunately. But I mean, this is somebody who's extremely convinced of it. Yeah, I watched the video when it was posted. You could go on X as well. It's all over X right now. And the issue that I have with the video is we have an issue with people, myself included. I do this where you're trying to make out all of the details of it. So what you do is you zoom right in and it pixelates absolutely everything in order to make the video look crappy, to put it that way.
Yeah.
To make it look very, very bad and very, lack of a better term, debunkable.
Right.
Okay. And I think that is part of the issue that he's going to have, you know, because you could see the alien figure. You could see exactly what you described, that it looks like a bluish silver alien with wearing some sort of purple upper body bodysuit, you know, and you can see that on the video. That being said, I wish it wasn't zoomed in so far or so closely, pardon me, so that way everything looks so pixelated. But I mean, the other thing too, when you zoom in with a phone, you don't realize how much your human hand is shaking until you zoom in. And that really, really takes it away. It takes away probably a great moment. It was probably a fantastic moment for him, and good on him for trying to remain calm in that very hairy situation. But on the flip side, you know, beggars can't be choosers when it comes to video. That's
and I'll tell you that I've got a Samsung Galaxy as well, and it does really good night shots that are still shots, but the video camera, in near dark or total dark situations is just not good at all. So I don't know, even if it wasn't zoomed in when he was taking the video, I don't know that it still would have appeared or showed up, any better than what we got in the video. But I agree. I mean, it is though I think regardless of this situation or any other, there will always be individuals who will seek to tear it down because either A, it doesn't go along with their narrative, or B, they may be traumatized by their own experience, and so therefore actively reject anything that causes them to process their own experience. Or B, that it's just because it's not a clear picture or video that cannot be argued one way or the other. I mean, I think just, we've talked about it before, but I think just people are kind of ridiculous sometimes in what they require as quote unquote proof for, that we're not alone.
Did you see the video that Skywatch Signal put out about the jellyfish type UFO from Iraq?
I have not seen that video.
Okay, it just came out, and they are saying that this comes a few months after that it actually happened. I'm going to try and bring it up for our YouTube audience here, and for yourself to see, because I am curious to get your opinion of this video. And once again, filmed in Iraq. It looks like they're calling it a squid. To me, it looks like a floating balloon. Jeremy Corbell called it the jellyfish video. That's like a big giant head with tentacles kind of hanging down on the video? I mean, just your thoughts overall on this, Josh.
So I saw this yesterday, and I actually mentioned it last night briefly, but we didn't really get into it. I downloaded this video off of Reddit, is where I found it, and I ran it through ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to tell me if this was potentially CGI or AI created. And ChatGPT said no. It seems to be naturally occurring, or rather, the video appears to be natural. It's not created with CGI. Obviously there's some text that's overlaid on the video, but the actual image and the floating object is not CGI, is not AI produced. Now, is it, I think the last time we had one of these camera or whatever it was, everybody was trying to say it was like a group of graduation balloons or something that were caught in the wind. I don't know why there would be graduation balloons in English in this part of the world. But, stranger things, I guess. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. And some of the folks on Reddit actually made the connection, which I had honestly forgot about. But the jetpack guy in LA, if you recall, like a couple of years ago, jetpack guy, like, I wonder if that was a misinterpretation of the same type of phenomena, because you would have maybe thought you were seeing legs and a guy in a jetpack when maybe it was the jellyfish UAP.
No idea. Best answer of the night. It's a flying B. Arthur. Very nice. Very nice on that. We got 2.5 minutes. What do you got short for us?
Real short. Avi Loeb put out an article on Medium about 6 days ago about the Hellfire missile impact with the UAP that was, released last week. In that article, he says that his opinion, it is a Houthi drone that is impacted. I thought that was really interesting, especially coming from Avi Loeb, who wants us to think that Oumuamua was potentially an NHI object that entered the solar system. So he doesn't really provide a whole lot of detail to support his claim, other than there was a conflict at the time. The Houthis were launching drones, and so in his opinion, it's a drone. I think it's a little weak on him to make that statement, given again his position within the community, especially as a scientist, to make such a bold statement up front without really any supporting evidence. But yeah. And then the last thing I'll mention is there's currently another meteor or comet that's moving through and is actually visible in the night sky with just binoculars. It's near the it's called C2005 R2. We have such awesome names for these things. What happened to Hale Bop and all these other cool names?
Why can't we just have like Comet Ned?
Yeah. But anyways, it's visible mostly in the southern hemisphere. You can use binoculars, look around the star Spica or Spica. I don't know how you pronounce it. Spica. It's observable at least until around October 12th to the 19th is when it's best observable. And then when it's gone, it won't come back around until 22,554 years from now.
We may not make it. See it next time. Josh, where can people find your YouTube channel?
Yep, you can go to youtube.com/@mysticjourneys44. And then you can also find me on the web at ourmysticjourneys.com.
It's always a pleasure to chat with you on Spaced Out Radio. Our brand new UFO report, gentleman, Josh Rutledge at Mystic Journeys 44 on YouTube. Make sure you check it on out. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, it's the Dave 101, and we have the weird news of the week. Stay tuned, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear. Great
All
job.
right. Thank
We
you.
will talk to you on Monday night. I'll have a
Yep.
new theme song for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man.
Talk to y'all later.
See you later, buddy. Good night. Josh Rutledge, everybody. One of the good ones. So glad to have him as a new member of our team. Yeah, very glad. I'll be right back, guys. That's why we got you up there. All right. What a fun show. What a fun show tonight. Sorry, I'm just kind of putting my Dave 101 together in my head here. Third Eye Tribe, welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? Yes, Steve says he'll come back. He was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, T-Bone. Yeah, amazing show, Erica. Thank you, Bombshell. Amy. Okay, Amy. We got just over a minute. Thank you tonight to T-Bone times 2, Trucker Andrew, Candace, Necessary Dialogue, and Alaska's greatest athlete for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you very, very much. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Want to remind people on YouTube that you do have the opportunity to join our membership. We greatly appreciate that. We will get that going for you, now that we're getting back into the swing of things here. And we're going to come back here in about 5 seconds. Stay tuned. We're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, a show that's flown on by tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy with a nice beard, tinfoil on his head, and bringing you the weird, strange stories to you. Coming up, we have the Dave 101 and the weird news of the week. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night, that time of the week, where I ask all of you to get off my lawn. It's the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave. Dave, D-A-V-E.
It's been a couple of weeks since I did one of these Dave 101s, and there's a lot that's been on my mind since the hearings that took place in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to come out with it, but we were rebuilding the studio, so I really didn't have an opportunity to do that. But yet, here I am. Now, I have been one on record who has been very, very critical on whether or not we should do UFO hearings. I don't usually agree with them. I don't like the mixture of politicians who get involved, because the minute we seem to gain some momentum, they change the politicians for the next round of talks. And I want better questions. When you bring in green peas who may not be very familiar with this topic, this is where you end up with, very lame softball questions like, are they little green men? Are we sure it wasn't swamp gas? So on and so forth. One of the participants even went as far to try and make it totally a MAGA/Trump issue that we weren't getting this great story. Now, politics aside, it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with MAGA. It has nothing to do with the Democrats or the wokeologists who walk around. No, it has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. And until they start opening up the can of worms, which is the military-industrial complex that is controlling this entire narrative, we're not going to get any answers. But there were some bright spots about that topic of the day in Washington, D.C. Number one, I thought George Knapp was incredible. Yes, the veteran reporter and investigative journalist from KLAS TV out of Las Vegas. He was absolutely amazing in his answers. He did not hold back. You could tell he had way more to say. And in fact, I was on record. He's even saying, you know what? I could have used an hour and a half, 2 hours of just George Knapp answering questions and giving these Congress people the leads that they need in order to talk about this subject further, not behind a skiff, because the one thing that Knapp was doing that others have not was he was naming names, saying this is who we need to look out for in the public realm. So why is that important? because most of the other people kept on saying, if you want to talk to me, it'll need to be in a skiff. It will need to be in a skiff. Skiff this, skiff that. You can get your skiff shirt on our website, spacedoutradio.com, in our store. Yeah, skiff this is what it says, right? So the whole point that I'm getting at with George Knapp being there is I could have listened to more, because I think if he was given more opportunity, he would have created more Easter eggs than anybody else has publicly, because his job as a journalist is to be public with his knowledge and what he has learned. He's a storyteller. That's what he does. Now, whether you love George Knapp or you think the guy is nothing more than a shill, that is your opinion. The fact is, he did give some great testimony from the way he got documents out of Russia to different portions of his testimony, including this one. And this one impacted me so much, I even wrote it down. He said, when he was asked about what Congress can do to get this story out there, he said, Knapp that is, unleash the dogs and go track down the money and see where it goes. Because a lot of this stuff has been moved out of government. It's been given to private contractors who stashed it away, have had it for so long, there's nobody left inside the government, or very few, who know where it is. I thought that was incredible. Then Tim Burchett followed up to keep it away from FOIA, which is exactly what George Knapp confirmed. I thought that was an incredibly powerful line, one that really steered the direction into something else. Look, this isn't to put down the other two people on the board. There were 4 in total, and I will get to the 4th one in a minute. But Jeff Ducitelli and Alexander Wiggins still being part of the USS Jackson crew, they had great stories to tell about close encounters, and I thought they were fantastic. We need more of those. But the problem with stories like that, especially for the skeptics and more so the critics, is the lack of evidence outside of word of mouth. However, we've seen recently with many videos that are coming out and AI getting stronger and stronger each day, can we trust a video any further? I think it's going to get to the point very, very soon that we will not have that ability to do so. But getting back to the person I really want to talk about, which is Dylan Borland, I hope this guy does a media tour. And the reason why I do is his story is personal about how he followed protocol to give his research and his encounter to a black triangle on a U.S. Air Force base. He turns it over to Arrow. Arrow, through Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who was leading the team at the time, basically denied the story ever existed, denied his report ever happened. And the fallout for Borland has been nothing short of disgusting. Now, if we take this story at face value, that he was a perfect employee that never did so much as take a coffee cup from work or even a Bic pen, then there's an issue here, because he followed protocol on what they've been told to do, that if you have an encounter on a military base or wherever and you work for the government, you can get your story told to Arrow and they're going to take care of you. The problem is they took care of him right out of his job and pension after 23 years. And if he was an A+ employee or even a B to C+ employee, okay, it doesn't mean that he should lose his pension, his top secret clearance, and any other future opportunity, all because he saw a UFO and did what he was supposed to do, which is report it to Arrow. Now, if Congress had any pull whatsoever in this group, they would be on the phones right now trying to get this guy's pension back at least. Borland said at the time of the hearings that he only had maybe 4 to 6 weeks of employment insurance left after that. He has no job prospects. He has no idea how he's going to pay his mortgage or his bills. Literally, he is in financial ruin, all for reporting a UFO. And once again, if that story is 100% correct, shame on the government for firing one of its employees for doing something after 23 years that he was supposed to do. Now, following that up, the UFO story has kind of wound down over the last few weeks, or the last week especially, because of what happened politically with Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm not going to get deep into that because this is not a political show. My opinion of it means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. But the one thing that I want to say to our listeners out there is I'm proud that you listen to us for half an hour, 2 hours, sometimes all three, because we allow you to escape what is going on in the world. The world is an ugly place right now, and it doesn't matter where you are, in the United States with the division, in Canada with the division, what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Israel, Russia, Ukraine, the protests in Europe, especially recently in the United Kingdom. This is something that we cannot escape. And for the majority of you, if you are like me, you are getting depressed by everything that is going on. You are getting heartbroken, like I am, watching this world, this beautiful planet that we live on, fall into turmoil because people on both sides of the ledger can't seem to get along. It's time to just relax. I mean, man, if this world ever needed an enema, it's probably right now. Okay. And if we go back to the 70s and 80s, because I'm a Gen Xer and this is kind of what happened when we were there. Okay. Many of these people just need a very stern mama who's going to absolutely, take a wooden spoon to your behind or brush your teeth with soap. Remember, mom always used to say, I'll brush your teeth with soap. Nobody liked that. Thank goodness I never got that. I had friends who got that, and they said it was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. But the point that I'm getting at is this. The reason why we stay away from politics on this show outside of UFOs, because the UFO story does revolve a lot around politics. We want you, the listener, to have a break. One of the greatest compliments a listener can give me, and I've heard it numerous times, is that, Dave, I get to fall asleep to you each and every night. Now, many people may say, oh, great, I'm boring the living hell out of you, and that's why you're falling asleep. I'm looking at this as the opposite. Okay? Because from the time you wake up in the morning until the time you tune into our show, you are hammered and battered, whether it's through the old legacy news, whether it's through radio, satellite radio, social media platforms like X or Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. You are inundated with political reels, political videos, political opinions from people who really shouldn't have an opinion out there one way or the other. And you're tired. You're tired of working your tails off every single day only to be taxed to the hilt, where you got to wonder if you can afford school supplies for your kids or if you can even put a meal on your table for that night. Many of us are in those shoes, but for 3 hours a night, you get to escape. So if you fall asleep listening to me after only 25 minutes or 112 minutes, thank you. I'm going to say thank you to you that you allow me to get into your brain so much that you relax and you are able to fall asleep for a good night's sleep. It's not an insult to me. Not at all. It is a compliment. So when somebody says, and I can give you an example. One listener a couple weeks ago said, Dave, I'm embarrassed to tell you this. Sent me this in a private message. I'm embarrassed to tell you this, man, but I fall asleep to you each and every night. And I said, well, that's not an insult. That's a compliment, because that means that I have done my job. And I know it's not that the show is boring. I definitely know that. So it must be that you trust us to bring you some good energy throughout the night, because Lord knows we all need some good energy right now. And once again, I don't care what side of the political side you stand on. If you want to know who I am, what I'm about, I would say I'm a centrist, because I can go either way, right? There's things I like about the right, and there's things I like about the left. And I don't need to explain myself any further than that. What I can explain to you is we give you an opportunity to relax. We give you an opportunity to just be you, with no complication, no politics, no hate, no violence. Just you and me and our guest for the night. And every night, we're here for you. That is your Dave 101.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Loud noises!
I am good at things, fighting and reading the news.
It's time once again for Spaced Out Radio's Weird News of the Week.
I debated actually reading this story, but you know what? It's Weird News of the Week, so I said, you know what? Why not? A Southern California dude with a history of arrests has been arrested once again. And, you know, this Khalees Karan Crowder, 38 years old, is going to have to spend another 135 days in jail because he has a fetish. He has a fetish. He walks up to women in public and sniffs their rear ends. You can't make this up, people. Now, personally, I think this is a good Florida man story, but we're going to use California man in this case. So Crowder, a registered sex offender, was arrested in mid-August for butt sniffing inside an unspecified store in Burbank. The arrest came roughly a month after he was taken into custody for a similar offense at Burbank's Empire Center shopping center. Yeah. In July, that incident, police responded to a Nordstrom rack following reports of a suspicious man loitering in the women's department. But by the time officers arrived, the suspect had already left the store. Crowder was later located and arrested at a nearby Walmart, going for round number 2. Surveillance footage showed Crowder following a female shopper inside the Nordstrom rack, crouching behind her, and engaging in sniffing inappropriately. I'm trying not to laugh. Who does this? Honestly, who does this? I can't even continue the story because I'm just shaking my head. But the butt sniffer has been caught. He's going to spend 130 plus days in jail. All right. Inhabitants of an apartment block in Bavaria, which is in southwestern or southern Germany, called police to investigate the relentless buzzing of their doorbells late at night. And they were able to catch the culprit. No, it wasn't a bunch of kids or teenagers playing Nicky Nicky Nine Doors. No, the culprit was a slug. A slug. The slug had been sliding up and down the doorbell plate, creating havoc in the building and making angry residents, waking them up out of their beds long after midnight when they could not sleep for the noise. At first, they had suspected the so-called Klingelstreich, I think I pronounced that right. The bell prank was something of a popular pastime with German youths. Ding dong ditch, knocking on the door and run, Nicky Nicky nine doors, whatever you want to call it. Okay. They thought it was a bunch of kids just playing pranks, is what I'm trying to say. But when the ringing continued, even after the arrival of two police officers, despite the fact that no one was at the door and a motion detector had failed to activate, a closer look at the metal bell plate revealed the presence of a slug, literally a naked snail. Well, we'd gone to bed, but we didn't intend to answer the door after 10 p.m., so when the bell rang, I tried to ignore it, said one person. Her name is Lisa. She goes, I thought it might be kids from abandoned house over across the road, but it wasn't. No, the slimy slug did it all. That is your culprit. See if we can sneak in one more. Investigators are searching for a man who robbed a popular Disney Springs restaurant after it had closed to guests. Yeah, this is how he did it. This is actually kind of cool. Sources familiar with the investigation believe the man swam up to the paddlefish restaurant using scuba gear shortly after midnight and stole thousands of dollars, then swam away. A report by Orange County deputies indicated the man found a place to store his wetsuit and scuba gear before walking into the manager's office, where cash from the night was being counted and deposited into a safe. The report shows the man forcing two employees to go to the corner of the room and then told them to close their eyes. The report is heavily redacted, but sources familiar with the investigation believe he got away with up to $20,000 by doing this. That's brazen. Absolutely brazen. That is your weird news of the week. Scuba diving for money at Disneyland. I don't recommend it because, going to jail, the idea of it kind of sucks. Never been a criminal, so I don't really want to go down that road. But man, is that clever. Totally clever. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. That was a good show. Give me a couple seconds here. There we go. Here, close that up. The only thing about that computer being back there, the new look, is that now I have to turn my back. I don't like turning my back on people, but I have no choice. No choice. That was a fun show tonight. Hope you liked the Dave 101. Hope you enjoyed the night. Steve Pierce was amazing. Don't need shortcuts. Just need this to move over here. Go like that. And River Dog, how you doing, buddy? Can I read you a Dave, can you read to me a story? I just did 3 hours of telling you stories, man. Oh, well, okay. Katie Page will be live, yes, every Wednesday. I'm so excited. I love Katie. She is one of the most amazing people in this field. She is amazeballs. Amazeballs. Sylvain Gano, how are you? Thank you. I appreciate that. Come on, let's download this. Let's download it. Boom. There it goes. You know, we did not move the desk in the studio. We did not move the desk. Nope. Kept the desk, moved the camera, moved the screens, moved everything around here. Away, we got a bar up here now, which reminds me, I want to do something here while I'm thinking about it. Let's move it there. Trade that for that, and then these can go right here. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. That works better for me. All right, so let's just go like this and brighten that up a little bit. Effects, let's go to amplify. 250. Right there. There we go. That's nice. I'll just start cutting this shit up. Look at that. Would you look at that, people? Would you look at that? Cut and cut. Didn't cut enough. There we go. Like this. Save. Is SOR 1. Send Katie a video link for X and ask her to share it with you. I have not yet, Frankie B. I have had a long day today. There we go. There's one. Cancel that. Let's go here and go here. Copy, paste. Cut. There, cut. Let's file this, save file as SOR2. Question is, were they going there? They are not. Son of a gun. Okay. There's a minor issue we're going to have to fix. 0918 Steve Pierce. Right there. And that's number 2. These are all MP3s. Are they all MP3s? Looks like an MP3. Perfect. Even better. That's going to save some time. Paste. Cut there. Cut there. Good enough. There we go. Now we're on a roll. Tyler 420, how are you? Let's do a quick sound check on these. Story. And I commend you for having the strength to come on this show and talk about it. So thank you very much.
Do it in, and that's what I was thinking.
Or sightings? Paint a picture for those of us who weren't.
I don't think it was.
Oh, that sounds good. Sounds so much better than it did before. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Chuck, for doing that. AJ, I think we're still live. I believe we're still live. Tomorrow night on the show, Kadrick Olson is going to join us about dark forces and spirit possessions. How spooky is that? It's going to be great. Absolutely great. Tomorrow night, Kadrick Olson. Maybe it's Kedrick. I'm not sure. I think it's Kadrick, though. I'll have to ask Dirty Filth. I will have to ask the dirty one. Because he's dirty, and he's filthy, and he's dirty filth. All right, guys. Before I have another allergy sneezing fit, I'm going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you to Amy, T-Bone ×2, Alaska's greatest athlete, Candace, Trucker Andrew, and Necessary Dialogue for the great super chats. Thank you for your love and support. Kadrick Olson tomorrow night on the show. Same bat time, same bat channel. And do us a favor. Tell your friend. Just tell one friend to come hit subscribe and listen to us, because we want to continue to grow this each and every night. We're going to try and get more things going for each and every one of you as well, because we know you guys love it just as much as we do. So thank you very much for tuning us in. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and you all have just a wonderful, wonderful night. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.